Hi, boys and girls. I'm going to continue on with our Waiting for the Magic book. We're on chapter 12. Things that have happened recently. William was able to understand the pets and kind of hear them, even though they're not really talking. Um, and the dad came back, and he's been there now for a couple months, and things seem to be going pretty well between him and the mom. So Eleanor and Mavis wore Mama's dresses and heels, playing school teacher. Lula was their only student, wearing a yellow shirt with "Love Thy Baby" printed on it. "Excellent, Lula," said Eleanor. "Stupendously excellent," echoed Mavis, making Papa smile. "Stupendously excellent is pretty good," he said. Excuse me. Papa wandered around the house, followed by Neo and Bryn. "What are you doing?" I asked. "Looking for a place to write. A quiet, peaceful place." Bryn: "My writer wrote all day long with the television on. Loud music sometimes." I smiled. "What?" asked Papa. "I'm smiling at Bryn," I said. "I smile at Bryn too," he said, petting her. "Biddy, what about the attic room? I like the attic room." "The attic room?" I repeated. "The attic room? I haven't been up there for a long time," said Papa. He went up the stairs, and we all clattered up, the sounds of dog feet on wooden stairs behind me, all except Grace, who had not yet gotten used to the stairs, being a racing dog raised in a crate. "Ah," said Papa at the top of the stairs, "you're right, William." "Biddy, I'm right." "Yes," I said to Biddy and Papa. "A large window," said Papa, walking into the room. "I'll put my desk there." Biddy: "I watched that silly Boston Terrier next door from this window." Bryn: "That's Ruby. She's peppy." Neo: "She barks at toads." Bryn: "And cars, and the mailman." Neo: "And clouds, and rain." "This is perfect," said Papa happily. We heard the soft, uncertain sound of Grace coming up the stairs, Grace being brave. "Good girl, Grace," said Papa. He looked at the dogs, who all stared back at him. "You," Papa said suddenly, "you are such a good family, better than I have been. You took care of Janie and Eleanor and William when I was—" He waved his arm as if trying to find the words. "Somewhere trying to find out what was best for me. Me, when all the while it wasn't ever really about me." I stood still, daring not to move. "Eyes," he said suddenly, as if he were making a speech. "8 eyes turned into me when I was away. 8 eyes became one beacon that reminds me of who I am." It was a quiet for a moment. Papa looked a little surprised at what he had just said. Neo nosed my hand. I jumped. "What?" I said out loud. "Neo, that's the beginning of a poem." Papa stared at Neo. Neo nosed my hand again. "Neo, tell him." "That's a poem," I said. "I heard Neo say it," Papa whispered. Papa sat down on a chair and stared at the dogs. "Neo, a poem. You could call it Eyes." Papa didn't say anything for a moment. "Do they all talk?" he finally asked, his voice cracking. Biddy: "Only to some people." "Does Mom know?" he asked. Neo: "No." Grace: "Not yet." Papa was quiet for a long time. Then he lifted his shoulders. "Bryn?" he asked finally. Bryn: "Yes?" "I've been home for more than 2 months now. Do you think I could sleep in my bed?" asked Papa. Bryn was silent for a bit. "Bryn, are you home for good?" "Yes," said Papa, "for good." I let out a breath that felt like I'd been holding in for a long time. Bryn: "It's a big bed. I'll take the middle." Papa grinned. "Eleanor was right," he said. "I didn't have to go away for magic." He began to laugh, so hard that Mama called up the stairs. "What's funny?" she asked. Papa couldn't speak. He walked down the stairs, followed by the dogs. He put his arms around her until the dogs and I finally went away and left them alone. They're up in the attic here when he realizes he can understand the dogs. Eleanor was in the downstairs hallway. She wore a backpack and her crown. Papa heard the dogs, I whispered. Eleanor nodded. Papa's really home, isn't he? I asked no one. Grace, looks like it. I thought Mama would be the next to hear the dogs, I said. Neo, her mind is full. She's thinking about that baby all the time, said Eleanor. I smiled. That baby. Mama would say our baby, I said. That baby isn't mine, said Eleanor. Biddy, that's what you think. Lula, in Eleanor's backpack, peeked over me at Eleanor's shoulder. Lula's my baby, said Eleanor. Soon you'll have another, I said. Twins, announced Eleanor with a bright smile. Grace, we call it a litter. Chapter 13. There were flowers again and a tablecloth and cloth napkins. There were cookies on the table. Neo, chocolate, please. Sorry, Neo, said Papa. You can have a dog biscuit, though. Neo, better than nothing. Grace, not really. What's happening? Asked Eleanor, looking a bit scared. A serious family meeting? I asked. Nothing bad, said Papa. There's news, said Mama quickly. It's a boy. We stared at her for a moment before we realized she meant the baby. So I won't have to share my princess dresses and fairy wings, said Eleanor. Maybe, maybe not, said Papa. What will his name be? I asked. Don't know. Anyone have some favorite names? Asked Papa. Eleanor ticked some names off on her fingers. Sam, Nicholas, Honest, Useful, and Weenie, she said. I'm not sure a boy would like to be called Weenie Watson, Papa said. Or Useful, said Mama, getting up slowly. Her back hurt, and she took naps in the afternoons. I'll sleep for a bit, then I'll cook dinner, she said. No, said Papa, I'm going to make raspberry fettuccine. Mama grinned and went off to her nap. Grace, I knew a very nice dog named Nicholas once. I like Nicholas, said Papa. I do too, I said. Nicholas, Nicky. Bryn, I vote for Zachary or Theodore or Henry, or Thomas or James or Liam, or Rufus or Pepper. Biddy, what's wrong with the name Biddy? Neo, it's your name. Papa smiled at Biddy. Biddy is a very nice name for you, he said kindly. Biddy, thank you. I still like Weenie, said Eleanor. Papa's writing room was all ready. Paintings on the walls, bookshelves with books, a small couch, an oriental rug, an easy chair, a desk, and his computer and printer. Papa bought many packages of printing paper and lugged them up the stairs. Then Papa sat at his desk doing nothing. The dogs were amused. Neo, all ready except for the writing. I heard that, said Papa with a small smile. Do I have to shut you all out of my room? Grace, not a good idea. Biddy, we'll watch you, waiting for the magic. Papa turned and stared at Biddy. Neo, better write that down. Papa looked at the dogs. Then, as if he had Eleanor's magic wand in his hand, he waved a pencil over the dogs. One, by one, they laid down. Papa grinned at me. He turned and began to type. I could see the words on the computer screen. Waiting for the magic.